Raised beds, no decultivation. Advantages: dry out quicker, meaning they warm up quicker. You have the drainage, so no waterlogging. You have a better root structure, giving you healthier and stronger plants. You're going to put a good brew inside the raised bed to get the best out of it, because I'm going to tell you what to put in. This is through trial and error. Years ago, before raised beds, they used to have a trench, lead trench, onion trench, and whatever. But a trench, basically, is a raised bed upside down, except you're moving with the times. It works. When I had my allotment, the width of the plot was 26 foot long, so that's the length of my beds. 4 foot wide, meaning you can reach the middle from either side, meaning you're never going to tread on it again. You only dig because you've trod on it, you've compacted the soil. 1.5 plots, all raised beds. That raised bed in the middle, you can see the cabbages. There's one row of cabbages in there, Savoy. That was it in the side of the netting. That was getting that big when I exhibited them. They're flogging them at the auction. People couldn't pick them up. That's where I live now. You still see my old motor, Ford Cortina, top right. My allotment came with the house. I've just put my pot leeks out, planted them out. My spares I put in this raised bed. I've nicked some ground off the pathway. That was my first raised bed. The spares was better than the ones I put out. They took over, meaning they've got a better brew under them, obviously, because they've done better. So that told me you've got a good raised beds. Obviously you've got to get the right strain, whatever. If you've got a good brew under them, it's common sense. So then I started getting timber from old pallets, whatever, making my own raised beds. These was only about 7 inches high. Then I had to move plot because the old dear had the land. It wore very well, so I moved allotments, not too far away, only down the road. That raised bed I didn't met there, I brought down to this allotment here, as you can see there. So any timber I got, I got it. Then the good thing for health and safety wise for the gardener, scaffolding boards, if I get a split in them, they can't use them. So all the scaffolders had loads of boards that they couldn't use. They got to get rid of them. Perfect for making raised beds out of. They're going to last bloody moons. So all the scaffolders, I rung them all up. I says, right, give me a price for a 13-foot board delivered. I'm going to ring every other scaffolder up, so give me a best price. I know you want them out of the way. And in the end, I was getting them for £8 each. People saw the difference in my produce and theirs. This is right. Next time you order some scaffolding boards, put me down on the list as well. I think I had 90 on this first drop. Then I found somebody else who was cheaper, so I got to him. And we had I was getting about 4 or 5 loads each year, because people wanted them. These lot, I even got them before the scaffolders got them. There's no bands on them. When I get a board, I dry them out, completely dried out, because I want them to last. So then I get proper horticultural plastic, black and white plastic. Get this off eBay, and it lasts for moons. It doesn't go brittle or nothing. Get some black tape, and basically I'm going to seal it, meaning when I use it, no moisture can get in, can't rot the wood. And I've had 40 odd year out of them. Right, the disadvantage with the raised bed, it's full of worms. What eats bloody worms? Moles. I seen a little mole here. I thought, right, reading up on him, they don't like smell, mothballs, and he bloody ate them, because it's SAS moles. Then I've heard of these 4 fat batteries in, and they send out a piercing shrill. They use that as a picnic table, that day work. And these are Dork tablets. I think they was from Holland or Belgium. You put them a couple inches in, and the scent, they don't like moles, hate it. You bloody hate them and all. In the end, I had to get a mole catcher in. He says, right, if I don't catch him, you ain't going to pay me. I says, well, you're bloody right there. He says, no, I've always caught me mole, and he couldn't catch him. So that field at the back, if you pretend that's your lawn, which is solid, and a mole, if he's got to tunnel his way through, with my raised bed, he just walks, he hasn't got a tunnel. That's why he couldn't catch him. So then I had to put my brain into gear. Thought, well, I'm going to do exactly the same I did my compost bins. Chicken wire on the bottom to stop him coming in, nicking me worms. So the wire is stapled to the timber, which is here. That stops him getting in. It works. Galvanised chicken wire. Luckily, my mate down Starbridge, he had to get some, and he got a spare roll. This bench is dedicated to them all. It cost me 65 quid. Thank you very much. The missus come up, I had to cover that with a blanket. If I knew how much I spend on gardening, they'd kick me out. That's what it cost. Galvanite. This took 4 adults to pick it up. That's how much wire was on it. I did all my raised beds. It was about 17 raised beds. I did 2 disabled plots with them, and the school raised bed as well. And I had stuff left over. Biggest thing with the raised beds is filling them with good stuff. Topsoil, which is molehills, spent mushroom compost, rock dust. If you need anything, just put it on the internet. It'll give you, and your postcode, it'll give you your nearest supplier. Spent off from brewery, worm casts. There's quite a few people doing that. Right, I was the first one to have raised beds on our site, and people have started getting them now, obviously. The only weeds I'm going to get are airborne seeds. Because I'm not digging, I'm not bringing dormant weed seeds to the surface, and that's what germinates. So you get less weeds. From my last composting, I want my compost, because I'm using it as a grey medium 100%. I also want it as a top dressing for my raised beds. So I'm going to get as much as I can make, as quick as I can make. And that's what I'm doing. A worm is a compost best friend. It is also a raised bed best friend, because they will do your digging. If I'm using the compost to pot something on, then I'm going to take the worms out, put them back in the heap. But I'm going to leave them in if I'm top dressing there. So at the end of the season, I've just took, let's say, my last cauliflower out. I'm now top dressing with my compost. Even it out about inch and a half or something. Give it a good soaking, and then cover it with the weed suppressant. That stops it drying out. Because we get the winds, we was open, you've got to weigh it down. This raised bed was inside my tunnel, working from waist height. You've got to think when you get old, it took some filling up. But once you have got them, that's it. You top dress every year, same as everything. They will drop down a bit. But spent mushroom compost there and manure. Fertilisers, as I've put on there, seaweed meal, anything seaweed based like that. But most of my grub is in there. Yeah, my mate passed away a couple of years ago. I asked his missus if I could have him the day on him. Said, yeah. Mother's on there as well, and me father. Now I can talk to him. But they're going to give me some good onions and leeks, whatever I'm growing. But it works. Right, mate next door to me is a prison warden. He ain't got time to muck about, starting his own stuff off. So he's sent away from plugs. And you just see he's had some overwintering greens on the bottom of the picture. He gave me his spares. I put them in, and mine overtook his twice the size within 2 weeks. He speak to me for a week. He says, right, you've taught me into it. Raised bed works. So he says, right, I've got raised beds. I says, no, you ain't. He says, why not? I says, I'm still the same level as the ground. You ain't raised them yet. He says, oh no, I was excited. I needed a challenge. I had a bit of time on my hands, so I got a bit of ground off the council, extended our allotment sites, and I did 2 plots for walking disabled, one for walking disabled and one for wheelchair. People with learning difficulties, I should say. But they had a tunnel each and all raised beds. Nobody from the council was interested, nobody come down, so instead of asking for 2 plots, I asked the land for 8, and I knocked another 6 off our waiting list, but all them lot was raised beds. It was the first allotment in the Westminster to get a Green Flag Award, because I was working with school kids and people with learning difficulties. The only reason we got the green flag. Kids come down. I used to get one class a raised bed each. They had a 4 foot by 2 foot square each. Each kid, and they grew what they wanted to grow. But they loved it. PC Brigade Health and Safety stopped the kids coming down, so I did a full allotment on the school grounds. I had another £7,000 I think it cost. I was on the area committee, and I did tunnel all raised beds down there. I did the school gardening club for, I think it was 8 years in the end, but they loved it. I had gardening at primary school and at the boys' school. It's supposed to come on the school's national curriculum, same as cooking, but that's never bloody happened. It was the biggest waiting list for the after school club, but that was for the harvest festival. They had a proper harvest for a change, but it worked. I loved it. 50p for an hour and a half on a Tuesday afternoon, because there was a school close to us, and they says, how the hell do you keep the kids occupied? I says, right, everything I do I'll put it on Facebook. You're only a week behind, but you don't copy. And somebody says you shouldn't put the kid's photo on Facebook, so I took this photo for her. I says, this is for her who gobbed off last week. I've had permission off the head, which clears the school. I've had permission off the parents, which clears the kids. I had the kids exhibiting everywhere. This is down Malvern. That was a trog of veg. But anything them doing the sows practical, it's going to stick in your brain. One disadvantage about raised beds, they dry out quicker. So as soon as I'm planting something out, I will then mulch. That stops them from drying out. Exactly the same with me pots up the back of the house. Right, this is caking over. This is normal ground. You don't get this on a raised bed. This is when it dries out. You won't realise what you've used raised bed for. If I've got a plant in that pot on the right, it's root bound, I'm going to pot him one size pot up. That one on the left is a raised bed compared to that one on the right. Just carry the process on. Somebody says, why don't you use Charles Dowding? And I thought, I'll give it a go just to shut you up. No, that's mine. After 4 days, it's ready to use. So that's what I do. Right, sweet corn. My plot's in the middle here. If you look right at the back, there's a raised bed there with sweet corn in. It was 4 times the size. Area view, I think there's 3/4 of our allotment there, all raised beds. I packed the same as job in, too much hassle, stress and shit. And pack me potting. So utilising every bit of space of the back garden. Nice raised bed in the middle, and raised beds all the way around. Got a tunnel, raised beds behind them, greenhouse behind that trellis, as you can see. But I can still utilise everything. These are my raised beds behind the greenhouse. So I've just emptied my raised beds, and I'm going to top dress again with garden compost. Level it out. It takes only about 1 inch. It's an eye. Don't forget it's full of worms. Water it. Keep it watered exactly the same as your composting. Weed suppressant goes on, then netting on the top. Stops the squirrels and cats and shit. That big raised bed in the middle, this was used for exhibition pot leeks. And I used to grow them through black and white plastic, which we will see now. So that's a close-up of a pot leek. As it grows, I cut the plastic round. I saw these little white things. I thought, Gordon Bennett, what the bloody hell is that? Something else. So I rang my mate up in Sheffield, Thopcroft. He's a compost geek. I zoomed in on him. There we are, before he went out of focus. I says, what the hell are these? I've got to put a weak solution J's fluid on. He says, no, you jammy person. He says, they're springtails. If you got them in your garden or your compost, you've got good garden or good compost. And I've got them in my compost now as well still. So if you see them in your garden, they are excellent, good little chaps. They just transfer the good bacteria around. Right, we had a dog because we were waiting for the grandkids. So the grandkids bought us a dog. The missus started digging the lawn up. I thought, you little... But after a week I thought, right, if we get rid of the lawn, astroturf down, they're going to dig the lawn up. So I persuaded the gaffer, says, right, I'll do a raised bed in the middle, more colour. And they went for it. And we need pots as well. Don't forget, pots are exactly the same as raised beds. Everything drops down each year. That's a compaction from our mate upstairs, watering with rain. Canners as well, all them are top dressed, exactly the same as a raised bed. Love them now. I kept me dispenser dead gate to the mole that cost me 65 quid. I kept that and I'll put that on my raised bed at the top. After, well, if I talk anyway and people say, oh, I call it raised beds, I've got trees everywhere, the roots. I says, well, you can have raised beds because the roots ain't going to grow uphill. And he says, good idea. This is mate in the Philippines. I'm in touch with people all over the UK, all over the world. He's learned from me and I've learned from him. And you can see he uses bamboo on the sides. There's someone who just used a slab on the right, with a timber on the front, even SN sacking. Just use anything to get hold of. That ain't raised beds, but he's doing no dig because he can still pick the produce from either side. And that just shows you've got a good brew underneath, so you're going to get a good return on top as well. Just look after the chaps. Obviously you've got to get the good seed to start off with. But onions, look at that. The larger the onion, the milder it is. Crusty cheese and onion cob. Fairly used to eat these onions raw. Probably what killed him, but he died happy. Love them. That's my tunnel, some of my large onions in the bed. See that pterodactyl? I had to put a camera up on my plot because I was chairman telling people if they broke the rules, give them a public warning. I was to get my stuff upended and weed killed. One of the reasons why I peed them off in the end. I had no backup in the road. Even sprouts, 1 cane per sprout. Just keep it nice and rigid. You got a good brew underneath. Keep all the crap away from underneath, so you don't get your aphids or whatever. This was Brutus. I tried that. Oh, never again. You only get 4 in the pond. It takes about 3 weeks to boil them. Got a camera up trying to grab the little shit who was upending me wash it. And that was a badger I found. Just work with nature. I got him out of a raised bed as well because you got a good brew underneath. Do it. Right, there's me ingredients. They're all natural products, so they're going to break down. Wood chip in the bottom, but anything you can get hold of. If you can't get hold of anything, just put it on the internet and it'll give you your nearest supplier. Seaweed you can put down as it is. I dry mine off and chop it up, then put it through the shredder. And top dressing every year. If you've got an alpaca muck, which I have, rabbit muck, you can use it straight away. There's no strength in it, and llama muck. But the other manure, just bung it underneath, unless it is well rotted. But it's can't go wrong with it. Raised beds work. Same as a big pot. It's exactly the same thing. If someone gets root bound in a big pot, you're going to put it in a bigger pot. It's just like the next raised bed up, except it is a pot. That's it, people. I hope you've learned somewhat, and I've talked you into doing raised beds. Just try the scaffolders. They have to get rid of them. Cheers, people.